This and the pictures you saw is from the CampSnap Pro, a screenless camera that is meant to replicate both the physical workflow but also the look of a disposable camera. Pretty neat. Now, like I said, this is the Pro version. They've had a couple different previous generations, which, believe it or not, had simpler specs and thus were cheaper. I think those retail for $60 or $65, which, shameless plug, if you want to save some money on this new Pro or the previous version, I have a code in the description and pinned comment to save you some moolah. Also, I won't be covering the OG model very much, so if you want to check that out, check the video up there, and let's get into it. Otherwise, I'm sure you're asking yourself, what makes this the Pro model? Well, the camera design is different, yes, as is some of the firmware, I'm sure, but the main difference is the sensor size, the flash, and the toggle wheels for the filters. The original CampSnap sensor was 8 megapixels, whereas this Pro version is 16, so twice the size and amount of data, and the processor is also much faster. The original models had some issues with some shutter lag, where this one is super fast now. The flash has also been upgraded from a LED flash to a xenon flash, which isn't a huge upgrade, but to put it bluntly, the original one wasn't very good, so any upgrade is a welcomed one. The Pro flash is also much quicker and decisive than the OG one, which again is a nice upgrade. And then probably the biggest upgrade for most people is the wheel that changes the filters up on the top. You can select between 4 different filters on the fly, whereas in the old cameras you'd have to install them, which honestly I think was a bit of a barrier for a lot of people. But with this new camera, you can easily swap between them for any specific photo that you're eyeing up. The lens also has a thread, so if you wanted, you could easily add ND filters or mist filters or whatever, which again is pretty sweet. Otherwise, the camera is honestly pretty straightforward. Lens, branding, and flash toggle, and then obviously flash on the front. The charging port and little locked door with some buttons for the volume and SD card is on the bottom. The back has a little speaker for the shutter sound, a screen displaying how many photos have been taken, and then a little battery light. One thing I was worried about was the range finder style viewfinder being like off center. I was a little nervous that the photos were not going to be centered, but honestly I didn't really have any issue with that. So if you're worried, then don't be. Otherwise, enough with the jibber jabber. Let's go take this up to the Rocky Mountains and rip some photos. Alright, so we're back home. I've used this thing for the past couple weeks, but took it out today and really tested it. And I finally looked at the images after probably 2 or 3 weeks of just shooting. I think I shot a total of like 130 or 140 photos, so I definitely feel confident to speak on it at this point. Well, to put it bluntly, I think CampSnap has honestly delivered again. This truly feels like an upgrade from the original, making it much more customizable, yet intuitive and tactile, and improving on image quality, which obviously is good. I think for someone who wants to shoot disposable-like photos, but not have to worry about the headache that comes with film and the price, obviously, then this could be a really solid camera. Without a screen to constantly be checking your work on the back, I think the camera promotes being a little more in the moment, something I think we could all benefit from. I think it's cool to start fostering some creativity in your kids or nieces and nephews, and I think that this is a good middle ground of modern technology, but also vintage feel and vibe, aesthetic, whatever, to it. By not being able to review your photos until you get back to your computer, it teaches some patience and delayed gratification, which I think is part of the interest in shooting film or disposables in the first place. The other part is certainly the look, and while not perfect, I do think the CampSnap gets in the ballpark of that vibe and aesthetic that so many people are looking for, but impossibly the easiest delivery method possible. The camera retails for $99, which again, compared to spending like $40 on 36 exposures for a disposable camera, this camera theoretically gives you infinite shots, which obviously is pretty sweet. Now, before we wrap up the video, I wanted to include some of my tips and just thought process that I learned, I guess, while shooting the camera. So if you are interested, then hopefully you can make the most of each of your frames. First is not being afraid to take multiple of the same photo with slightly different compositions. After all, like I said, you do get infinite photos with this sucker. It's not like film where we want to be limiting our shots. And with the way that the sensor and light meter work, it's best to take multiple to give the sensor the best shot at correctly exposing the scene, which truthfully makes all the difference. Look at this example of the cabin. I took probably 5 or 6 shots, and this one is easily the best out of the camera. It's composed well, pretty sharp, and the exposure and colors are correctly done compared to all the underexposed alternates. Second is to use the flash. The flash is much better on this new one, and if you're taking any close-up or interior shots, unless the lighting is notably good, it's probably better to use the flash. I'll say that again, unless the lighting is notably good, it's probably better to use the flash. Now, keep in mind that the flash isn't super bright or super strong, so for anything farther than like, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 feet, it probably won't illuminate your subject super well, so keep that in mind. Third is to test out your filters. The filters can differ quite a bit, and I pretty much always just shot in the vintage one as it gives a bit of a warmer feel, but definitely try them all out and see which one you like the most. You can also make your own filter, and I believe customize the wheel on this camera yet, which I'm not sure is out yet, but that is in the plans for CampSnap, and I think you can do it on the older models, which I haven't done, but sounds pretty cool. I'm not super tech savvy, believe it or not, which is probably why I lean towards shooting film, so I will definitely not be modding the camera, but I know from people on Reddit and online that that is a huge plus to the camera, is that it is able to be modded, so keep that in mind too. Okay, and fourth and last is to not be afraid to edit your photos. While yes, for many people, the whole point of the camera is to point, shoot, and then eventually you look through your photo dump and save your favorites. But being a professional photographer, I found that you can quite easily edit your photos a bit on the original, but then obviously this model as well, especially with the more data of the 16 megapixel sensor. I tend to bring a little exposure up to the photos, bring in a little contrast, while also bringing the shadows up to not give it too crushed of a look. From there, I will sometimes tweak the highlights and whites, but honestly, that's definitely what the camera struggles with the most. Getting those bright highlights decently exposed, and I found with some of these more grandiose scenes, because it's such a dynamically lit scene, the camera loses some of the data and the highlights, which to be honest is just expected. Shooting some of these on film can be quite tricky and has taken a good amount of time to get exposure down to the point where I waste very few frames. And with digital, modern cameras have an insane amount of dynamic range compared to this $100 camera. But I think this workflow is easy to follow, and you can easily find all these sliders on your phone, just like the Apple editing software. Otherwise, whatever other software that you use will definitely have those super basic sliders, and you can definitely just do this when you're like on the toilet, at work, or trying to kill some time. Otherwise, I think that's the gist of it. It's a worthy $30 to $35 upgrade in my opinion, offering upgraded aesthetics, image quality, and camera usability, but still delivers that lo-fi, disposable / cheap digicam / CampSnap look. I know I saw people on Reddit when this first came out saying that they were worried the camera would be too good, which I thought was a bit silly. But honestly, I totally get it. I think with this product and other products like this, a lot of the appeal and charm is that lo-fi vibe to it. So to lose out on that with an upgraded version of it would be kind of missing the whole point, but I don't think that that's the case here. I don't think the image quality has gotten, quote, too good. I don't know. You tell me. Do you think the photos look significantly different than the original CampSnaps? Again, to me, it feels so similar, but just a slight upgrade in the image quality, and honestly, most being in the hardware and overall camera usability. And I think there's certainly a time and place for the CampSnap cameras, and I have like 8 different cameras in my current rotation, and I totally see this still being a great little tool or toy for an amateur photographer or someone who wants to escape their phone a bit and still be able to capture some memories or shoot some vibey photos, for lack of better terms. Plus, it just looks sick. I was at a photo walk a couple weeks ago, and a handful of people were asking what type of film camera it is, which I thought was funny, and for a lot of you, might be a nice little perk to it. It's definitely a very hipster, aesthetically pleasing camera, and looks like a film rangefinder. Not sure if they'll add other colors or accessories like how they did with the OG one, but yeah, definitely cool and a worthy upgrade in my opinion. Otherwise, I think that's going to pretty much wrap it up for this one, guys. Let me know down in the comments if you had the original CampSnap and if you're interested in picking up the Pro. Like I said before, I think that this truly has a place in any photographer's kit. You know, like I said before, most photographers, whether it be professional or amateur, can find some type of use case for this, even if it's just given to your kid to hopefully instill some creativity at an early age. But otherwise, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments if you're interested in seeing maybe a comparison video with the older model or some other just vloggy stuff with the Pro. Yeah, otherwise that'll do it. Till the next one, stay safe, stay shooting, guys. Adios.